at some point, you just got to go for it. Where are we? Here we go. Let's have some tunes.
Something go right to your head. I got a line on you, babe. I got a line on you, babe. Put your arms around me, every bit of your love. What to do, come to you. Through these times, I got a line on you, babe. I got a line on you, babe. I got a line on you, babe. Now listen, all winter's on the storm. The summer she's coming along strong. Love you, love you, love you, love you all year long. I got a line on you, babe. I got a line on you, babe. I got a line on you, babe. She has seen me changing. It ain't easy rearranging, and it gets harder as you get older, farther away as you get closer. And I don't know the answer. Does it even matter? I'm wondering how. 10 years singing but out loud. Never was anybody listening. Then I fell out of that cloud. I hit the ground and noticed something missing. Now I have someone. She has seen me changing, and it gets harder as you get older, and farther away as you get closer. And I don't know the answer. Does it even matter? I'm wondering how. Seemed like something out of a dream I had years ago. Yes, I remember screaming. Nobody laughing, all the good times getting harder to come by without weeping. Now I had someone, she had seen me changing, and it gets harder as you get older, farther away. American woman, gonna mess your mind. American woman, she gonna mess your mind. American woman, gonna mess your mind. American woman, gonna mess your mind. Say A, say M, say E, say R, say I, C, say A, M. American woman, gonna mess your mind. American woman, gonna mess your mind. American woman, gonna mess your mind. Stay away from me, American woman. Mama, let me be. Don't come hanging around my door. I don't want to see your face no more. I got more important things to do than spend my time growing old with you. Now, woman, I said stay away, American woman. Listen what I say. Get away from me, American woman. Mama, let me be. Oh, come on knocking around my door. Don't wanna see your shadow no more. Colored lights can hypnotize, sparkle someone else's eyes. Now, woman, I said get away, American woman. Listen what I say. Hey.
More cowbell.
American woman, said get away. American woman, listen to what I say. Don't come hanging around my door. Don't want to see your face no more. I don't need your war machines. I don't need your ghetto scenes. Colored lights can hypnotize, sparkle someone else's eyes. Now, woman, get away from me, American woman. Mama, let me be. Go, gotta get away now. Go. I'm gonna leave you, woman. Gotta leave you, woman. Bye. You're no good for me. I'm no good for you. Gonna look you right in the eye. Tell you what I'm gonna do. You know I'm gonna go. You know I'm gonna go. I'm gonna leave. Goodbye, American woman. One morning I woke up and I knew a new day, a new way, and new eyes. Lord, the way I thought the sky is clearing and the night, the sun becomes the world. Rejoice, rejoice, we have no choice but to get wrong. The portraits of fables are able now witness the quickness with which we to sing the blues like carry on. Love is coming. Love is coming to us all.
Okay, that was just a little bit smarmy there at the end, but here we go, people. We are going to do this. Welcome. I guess I'm in Austin. I'm supposed to say, all right, all right, all right. But we are getting ready to do our reunion here. And the theme that we're going to work with tonight is we're going to start with our commencement program and have some of the speakers from that. The music on the slideshow we just did, of course, was Carry On. And you guys might remember that when we had our senior assembly, that Brad Newton put together a film for us. And he had that music on there, and it had just come out at the time, and it was pretty awesome. So I guess when you start a project, you never know where it's going to go when you start. So it certainly has turned out to be something different than what we thought. But the way I can best describe it is this is like you went to the reunion and you only got to talk to like a dozen people and just kind of get a little cross section of what's going on. So some of the videos we got are serious and a little bit somber, and some of our studio conversations are a little bit nonsense. So we're going to do that, try to keep the wheels on here. And we actually have a couple of doctors that have responded, a few doctors in our midst that are going to be hearing from tonight. But before we get too deep into this, I think it's important that I tell you that this whole idea started with the guy that is kind of a hero of mine. He was my bodyguard at TJ. Not many people know that. I was not a very big guy, and I needed some backup. And so I'm going to bring my bodyguard in. Mike Fluffy Hudspeth, what is up, man? You're the one that had this idea. Tell us all about it.
Well, when I heard the reunion was canceled, I was kind of disappointed. I'm sure like everybody else. And I was watching TV, and they were bringing people doing things in their home, in their home studios and stuff. And I went, doing, maybe we can do that. Same thing. And that's when I called you and Moffitt. And I said, hey, guys, what do you think about this? And y'all jumped on it, and we got it all put together. And hopefully this will give us a little bit of relief from what all's going on, and maybe just something to look forward to when we do gather for the reunion.
Is Steve Moffitt, is he the captain of the basketball team that used to wear those little blue satin booty shorts in front of hundreds of people at Lowe's Fieldhouse? Is that the same guy?
Yeah, he was very amazing at
he was the same guy.
what he could do with a ball.
I'm wearing the shorts right now. I've got them on, but I'm not going to stand up and show you. I will say, Raleigh, and for everybody else out there, I went and got a haircut today because if I hadn't, I would have looked just like Raleigh. We'd look like twins, and I just didn't want that to happen, so I got my haircut today.
Hey, I just kind of got to say for the record, it's the lights in here. I do not have strawberry blonde hair, but working on my lighting all week, whatever.
We have 58 people are watching on YouTube. That's really cool, you guys. Great job.
Hey, we got a ton of comments over here. I'm going to try to keep these rolling. Here's one from you, Steve. How much hair Dumaney had. Here we go. Okay. Hey, Steve, do you mind giving us a quick update? You're our liaison. I like using French words on TV to the Alumni Association. If you could just give us a little quick update on what you got there, and we'll move on to the program.
Are we gonna talk about scholarship fund later, or do that now? I mean, if you want to do that later?
If you don't mind doing it now, because I want to talk about the 50-50 and give them all the link. We want to get all the business stuff out of the way real quick and then move into the.
Okay. The Alumni Association was formed around 2007, and it's been extremely active. I don't know how many of y'all are aware of it, but the Alumni Association has given over $250,000 in scholarships to TJ seniors since we've been doing it since 2007, and this year we will award about $50,000 in scholarships to TJ seniors. And trust me, this year they need that more than ever. I mean, these seniors at TJ this year have been through more than any class that TJ ever has in terms of the tornado and then COVID-19 and all this stuff. So it's really important. It's really impactful. And I applaud everybody in the class of 70, our class. In the last 2 years, we started giving our own scholarships. 2 years ago, we gave away $5,000 in scholarships. Last year, it was $7,500. And this year, we will be giving $10,000 in scholarships, specifically from the class of 1970. The Alumni Association has been very active in supporting the school and supporting Sandi Massey. We will hear from Sandi soon. And all it does is just reiterates. I mean, everybody on the Alumni Association board with me recognizes that 1970 is arguably the greatest class in the history of Thomas Jefferson High School. And so we know that, and they recognize that. They tell me all the time, and I hope this doesn't get, I hope none of them are watching. So anyway, this is great fun, guys. And if anybody's interested in that, you can still donate to the scholarship fund. It's going to be an ongoing thing, and we'll talk about the 50-50 fund later. But guys, 58 of us watching. It's great to hear from everybody in the comments and see everybody. And Raleigh, if I can get back on and say anything else, that's great. If I just sit back and watch the rest of it here in the background, that's great too. I'm here for whatever you need, buddy. It's so wonderful to hear from all of you.
Hey, I appreciate that, Steve. And I guess most people at this point are familiar with the 50-50 fund. It was just an idea. We had to give $1 for each year since we graduated. So $50, not a huge commitment. Some people have done more. But just for one last time, let's go ahead and get this out of the way. And if I can pull this off, we will take a quick peek at on the TJ Alumni Association webpage. On the upper right, there's a tab for Make a Gift. So when you click on that, it will take you to the donation page, and then it will show you the address if you would like to send a check. Or if you scroll down, you can find the TJ Legacy Gift Fund and click on that. And when you get to the information page, after you choose your amount and get all your info in there, make sure down at the bottom that you put the 1970 50-50 fund. Okay, and we are back. I was going to tell you that we're going to hear from Principal Massey. If you haven't met her, if you haven't seen her videos on YouTube, this is an amazing woman. She's probably the best principal, just like we have the best class. She's the best principal in the DISD, and she's done some great things for our school. So we're going to go ahead and start off with a message from Sandy, and then we'll carry on from there. Carry on.
Hello, class of 1970. My name is Sandi Massey. I am the current principal of Thomas Jefferson High School. I've been there for 7 years. I'm about to start my 8th year there at TJ. And just, I guess, want to share a couple updates with you for your 1970 class reunion. I know it's not the same. You guys didn't get to have your reunion at TJ because first the tornado and now the pandemic. It's been an interesting year to say the least, but great things have been happening at TJ. When I first got there, we were one of the lowest scoring schools in the district, and this past year we were number 2 in the district for our comprehensive size high school, and that's going from number 22 to number 2. So we were really proud of the progress that we've made. TJ has come so far. We have great teachers. Our students are incredible, challenged, but very great. And so we just want to thank you for leading the way as one of the first classes in TJ High School. And just so you guys know, I was born in 1972, so you were graduating high school 2 years before I was even born. Hope that doesn't make you feel old. But I just want you to know that the new build of TJ High School is going to be incredible. It will look completely different and brand new from the outside, but we're going to keep that amazing look of the theater area. That will not change other than being cleaned up. So the inside will have a lot of new features, but also it will keep a lot of the footprint of the TJ that you remember. So I can't wait in a couple of years for us all to get back into the new building and for you to see the progress, but also feel the life of the school that you grew up in. So I hope you have a great reunion, and here's to the class of 1970.
Nice. If I could get my executive producer to quit hitting the space bar, we'll be in business. Okay, so starting with the program, the first person that gave the invocation at our commencement 50 years ago was Hap Mather. And, you know, I was looking back through my document, and Hap was a daggum rock star, man. He was the president of the class. He had the lead in the play. He was a cheerleader. He was the class favorite. He was the friendliest. And I'm telling you, talking to him on the phone a bunch this week. He's still about the nicest guy as you could ever want to know. And I got to make a couple of disclaimers here. I apologize for some of the nature of these films. I did my best to get them squared away, but some of the volumes go back and forth, and some people are soft-spoken, so you might have to adjust your volume as we go through the night. But let's crank up with the one and only Shapley Mather, his own self.
Many thanks to Raleigh Williams for spearheading the creation and production of this cyber reunion event. And thanks for the invitation to participate. Sorry that it couldn't be in person. The 40th reunion in 2010 was great, and I'm looking forward to the 50th to be rescheduled soon. It's hard to believe 50 years have passed since graduation. I realized I've spent little time in Dallas since moving to St. Louis for college and career, spending most of 42 years there before moving to Nevada in 2013. Near St. Louis, a college friend had a poster on his wall with the silhouetted image of a surfer carving across a wave. The caption said, "We don't remember days, we remember moments." That's the way it is when I think about our years at TJ. There's no memory of what happened throughout any particular day, but I can clearly see in my mind's eye exactly what happened at certain moments. A few bad, but mostly good. For example, walking along the hallway on our hands next to Rod Thomas was good fun. I'm not sure who wrote the caption for the yearbook photo, which said, "The 7 Santini brothers -5 attempt to crush insects on their noses," but it was amusing. On the bad side, getting stuck in traffic after parading the school flag around W.T. White High School in Gayhart's car wasn't great, especially when the car directly behind us carried some W.T. White students who were less than entertained. Fortunately, a little fast talking about school spirit and no harm intended avoided any serious conflict. Reflecting on these and many other memories from high school made me realize that my absence from the place doesn't change any of these experiences. They are forever. And what a great joy to revisit them. Raleigh suggested talking about what TJ means to me. In pondering that idea, I scanned online news videos of TJ, particularly noting the terrible damage done to the school by last year's storm, and thought about the impact it had on almost 2,000 students, not to mention the effect of shutdowns over COVID-19. At first, I felt a sense of sadness and discouragement for them. But then a video played of Sandi Massey, the school principal. What a dynamic, buoyant leader. Her example of forward-looking optimism represents what I experienced there. We had an expectation of something good about to happen, whether an athletic competition, a dramatic performance, homecoming, or a weekend event. For me, this atmosphere existed because of the students. I realized that is what means the most to me. Having had the great benefit of being around all of you at Thomas Jefferson, who lived and demonstrated great leadership, friendship, kindness, joy, and enthusiasm for life. What you have provided has helped me for the past 50 years. Thank you for all of it.
All right, the one and only Hap Mather. So next on our program, when we graduated so many half centuries ago, next up with our quit texting me, Flop. Our salutatorian, Paul Venata. I also had an excellent 45-minute conversation with Paul. That dude is entertaining. So enjoy the dry wit of the one and only Paul Venata, our salutatorian.
Oh, hi. Paul Venata here. Just reading a little ancient history. This is the railway Thomas Jefferson High School, Dallas, Texas, October 15, 1969. This is the senior personalities of the class of 1970 issue. You know, this has come in handy. I brought it out to my kids one time to prove to them that we did have the printing press when I was growing up. And at the time, I took advantage to say, hey kids, look at this, your dad was chosen most likely to succeed. And my daughter Mary looks at my picture and says, Dad, you look like such a dork. So, you know, no good deed goes unpunished. I am reminded, though, looking at this, here you can see up here the wittiest, Rusty Weaver, and maybe Powers. The one controversy we had in those elections, Russ and Raleigh Williams reminded me of this recently. Russ went around all the homerooms of the senior class prior to the voting and wrote on the board, Rusty Weaver for wittiest. And according to Raleigh, Rusty won by a narrow margin over him, so I guess that just shows the power of advertising. But Russ, I would advise you, if you see Raleigh at the reunion, you might want to sit at a different table, because I think he's still got some issues about that. Now, Julie Holloman-Wyman asked me if I could find my salutatorian address and get it to her. And I'm sad to say, and I know you will share my disappointment, I have not been able to find that. But I will keep looking, and when and if I do find it, I will bring it to the rescheduled reunion. And I know that opportunity is going to boost registration sizably. I did find, though, while I was looking, some pictures from my most recent colonoscopy. And, my producer wife says maybe that's a little too much information. But, you know, we are at the age now where any conversation amongst us leads to a discussion of healthcare events. And it does help me prove to my colleague Scott McDonald at one point, we were having a discussion. I don't remember the topic, but I got a little heated, and he finally said, Paul, you are always so full of beep, and you know how to fill that in. And Scott, I want to let you know, as a legal mind, I have here incontrovertible, admissible evidence that there have been times in my life when I have not been so full of that substance, although it did require a little pharmaceutical help. So there you have it. Now, I asked Raleigh really what he wanted me to say to the group, and he said, well, Paul, just pretend like you've got them all in front of you, and you want to express your opinions, you know, what you see. And so I would say, gentlemen of the class, oh boy, I see a lot of gray hair. There's male pattern baldness around, some slouching. My wife is always telling me, stop slouching. And I have 3 words for you: age-appropriate behavior. And what is in your future, if not already, is this appliance, hearing aids. And I put these in every day, and it is a remembrance that maybe the third row center seat in Led Zeppelin concert probably wasn't my best choice. Now, for the ladies of the class, I just want to say that you are as vivacious as you were the day you graced the commencement stage, and I look forward to seeing all of you at the reunion when it gets rescheduled. Now, I'd like to end here by referencing the Reveille again. Page 2, I guess you'd call that the op-ed page here, although it does have a little ditty down here about what is a loser. And in other words, a loser is a guy who has to be home before his date. Anyway, I'd like to read to you a little bit of the editorial by Don Fields. Don was co-editor our senior year along with my prom date, Jan Evans. And this is a editorial about the possibility of outside influences coming to high schools. It relates to, improper, seditious, riotous suggestions by such groups as the Yuppies. I assume, this was the late 60s. We're talking maybe Vietnam protests. And after presenting the issue, Don then has a couple paragraphs about our response, and I'd like to read those to you. So what is the effect of all this on us? To begin with, we as young adults must find out more about what these groups are proposing and critically, that's emphasized, analyze each claim, proposal, or demand they make. They must be weighed by each of us individually as to whether, first of all, they state the truth without any distortion, if they are fair and equal to all concerned, and essentially, if what they propose will make a substantial difference and will be beneficial to everyone, none excluded. When the pamphlets, newsletters, and other literature starts being passed out, each should test the movement's aims and come to his, her own conclusions as to the worth and methods of the group. Then each will be able to better determine his, her own role in any future situations. And boy, was that timely advice then, and rather prophetic given the vast degree of misinformation that's mixed in with information that we have to deal with. So my hat's off to Don Fields for this. So just ending, I'd like to say I look forward to seeing everyone in the reunion. And oh yes, peace and power. God bless.
Okay, now this time I'm actually going to have the video up when they start talking. I'm a quick learner. Yes, I am. All right, our next speaker at our commencement, he offered up the actual benediction for us. Crozier decided he was just going to give us some thoughts rather than actually do a benediction. But as a lot of y'all probably know, Gary's been one of my best friends for a long, long time. And that dude will stand behind you when you need him. A really super guy. He was also vice president of the student council. So he was just a born VP back in those days. So let's hear what the one and only Dr. Gary Allen Crozier has got for us.
Hi, this is Gary Crozier coming to you from Harper, Texas, where I have my COVID-19 quarantined haircut that my wife gave me. It allows me now to be in the Charlie Brown look-alike contest. The reason why I'm recording this is because Raleigh Williams called me and he said, as class vice president, I gave the benediction at our graduation, and would I say something about our class? Told him I'd be glad to. I have very, very fond memories of our friendships that we developed while we were in high school, and many of those still go today. I think about the times walking up and down the hallway where we were glad to see each other, slapping each other on the back, teasing each other, talking to each other, seeing our teachers, some of which we loved, some of which we didn't, and we probably gave them cause for being tough on us, or I know at least I did. In the 50 years we've been out of school, there for all of us, I know, have been good times, bad times, fun times, families that have been born, grandchildren that have been born. Hopefully the majority of the time there's been happiness for everybody. I love thinking back on my friends and the times that we had and what Thomas Jefferson High School meant to me. If I said the prayer again now, it would be for the protection of us and our families, and for happiness that we could have and enduring happiness even when things aren't going the ways that we would like for them to go. I have extremely fond memories of our class. I loved everybody, and I still do. I hope that this will get over with, this COVID deal. We'll be able to have a reunion, get together, have a laugh with each other, maybe even have a cold one. Until I see you, Bios con Dios, mi amigos. Gary Crozier in Harper, Texas.
All right, Crozier, nicely done. I was hoping that Gary was going to come on live. He's not nearly that serious in person. We're going to get him on to tell a story, but I've lost him down here. I don't know where he went, but we'll try to get Gary back on here. If he does, I'll tell the story for him if he doesn't show back up. Okay, I want to do one more video before we go back to the live guest, because I had asked Julie to do an update so everybody can be sure where we're at on the reunion. It's obviously been postponed, and Julie wanted to make a couple of remarks to the crew. So let's get her on here, and then we'll get back to some of our virtual studio guests. Oh yeah. Quick learner that I am. Here we go.
Hey. Go. Thank you, Raleigh. Good evening and hello to all. I hope this finds you and your families safe and well during these challenging times. I also want to thank Raleigh, Mike, Steve, and all those who have participated in this TJ 1970 live YouTube event. I know we all appreciate the hard work and the dedication to our class. Yes, I am Julie Holloman Wyman, the face behind the signature on all those class emails. I am not a public speaker, so please excuse me as I refer to my notes. It has been my honor and privilege to serve you, the members of the TJ class of 1970, as the chair of all your reunions and all the reunion-related activities. I know we were all incredibly disappointed that events dictated postponement of our 50-year reunion last weekend. We all look forward to getting together, renewing friendships, and reminiscing about our days at TJ. I'm sure we were also just a little bit curious about how the last 50 years have treated some of our childhood friends. I appreciate those of you who reach out to me and to our committee with advice and support. Thank you. And now, I am happy to announce that your TJ class of 1970 50-year reunion will be held next year on June 4th, 5th, and 6th of 2021. We have postponed the reunion for 1 year. All other details remain the same: location, activities, and fees. All this information will be communicated in a class email posted on both the TJ Facebook page and our class website. For those of you who have previously registered, your payment will carry forward and be applied to the new event. So why come to this reunion or any reunion? These words were written in a Facebook post by one of our classmates earlier this week. We all followed the path before us, wherever that led. The class of 1970 is about the people, the shared experience, not about graduating or your family moving in the middle of your junior year, or even getting expelled by Mr. Green, or whatever. The bonds we made going to school together all those years ago in Dallas are why I always look forward to returning and reconnecting with the people that touched my young life. And you, my friend, touched my young life. Thank you. So mark your calendars now, June 4th, 5th, and 6th of 2021. I hope to see each and every one of you at next year's reunion. Thank you for your time.
Well, I guess we know Robert Lamm is up next, but before we do that, let's get back to some of the knuckleheads in our actual studio. Knucklehead number one is going to be Bob Webb is going to join us. Hey, Bob, I got your mic unmuted. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Bowie. I was going to talk about poppycocks. There was a group of friends that supported and encouraged each other throughout high school. We had some great experiences because we were associated with the YMCA and had a college advisor. We got the blessings from our parents. We had hay rides, camping, retreats, went to Mexico. There's the poppycocks right there. All in our parents' eyes were sanctioned and supervised by the YMCA, our golden ticket, if you will. So I remember having conversations with my parents about, like, Mom, I'm going to Zach's house. Well, it's a school night. Well, it's a high Y meeting. Be back at 11. Hey, Dad, Wyman and Thomas and I and others want to go on a river trip in Oklahoma. My dad would say, the hell you are. I just watched Deliverance. And I said, well, the high Y is planning it. He would say, we'll take a flashlight. We were also there supporting each other and encouraging each other, whether just supporting each other silently, like Mark Gott did for me when I was going through some stuff. He kept me busy, going to the lake, playing catch, whatever, silently and not knowing what to say, but I knew he was there for me. On the other end of the spectrum, the poppycocks had many deep discussions on the river in Oklahoma and around campfires lasting well past the last log and lasting until the sunrise. And I also remember being there for Alan Cousins many, many times, helping him out. He would ask for my support, and I would say, I'm there for you. What do you need, my friend? He would turn to me all earnestly, and he said, Bobby, I need you to hold my beer and or joint. He would proceed to do something very illegal, life-threatening, and 100% dumbass. But I was there for him, supporting him all the way. To paraphrase Steve King in the last scene from Stand By Me, he said, I never had any friends later on like the ones I had when I was young. Jesus, does anyone? Those friends, like Julie referred to, we all had in our youth, set the benchmark for all future friendships. And the poppycocks set the bar pretty high for me. Now back to Bully in the studio. Thank you, Raleigh.
You're welcome. Well, Bob and I shared the weird nicknames that we have. He's known as Owie to his friends, and I've got friends that know me as Bully. It's too long of stories to tell, but hey, let me get you guys off of mute. Sorry about that, boys. Sorry about the mute. Hey, Steve, let's have you tell us a little bit. One of the big things in our senior year, of course, was going down to Austin for the state basketball team. Hang on, I got to mute somebody. I was going down to Austin for the state basketball tournament. Tell us a little bit about your experience as captain of the basketball team and, of course, about the little satin shorts, if you will.
Well, of course, we wore the satin shorts.
I don't have.
You got me?
I got you.
Am I on?
Yeah,
right.
gotcha.
Okay. A lot of people don't realize we wore the really short satin shorts because our generation, we just had really great looking legs and we had very manly thighs. And so we had to show those off. And if you notice, as time goes on, the shorts get longer and longer because the basketball players' legs just got like chicken wing skinny. And so they just had to cover them up. But what I think, seriously, basketball, TJ, when we were coming through Cary and on up into TJ as sophomores and juniors, the history of Thomas Jefferson basketball was just a tradition. And most people don't know that Thomas Jefferson went to state more than any other team in Texas in the 60s. When we went in 70, it was the sixth time that Thomas Jefferson had gone to the state tournament. Well, the thing that I'm most proud of was our team, because again, I'm not sure how many people realize we were not picked to even win district. W.T. White was picked to win district. And we had just a fantastic game against White in Los, the first game that went to overtime, second game. We went on to win district, and we were picked to lose to Adamson in the city championship game. And then we went down to College Station, and we were the underdog in both of those games. At the time, Terrell was ranked number 3 in the state, and Spring Branch was ranked number 2 in the state. One of my fondest memories at TJ was at the end of that Spring Branch game. That evening, we played in the morning against I.M. Terrell and played in the evening against Spring Branch. So won 2 games in one day. But when everybody in the stands started chanting AUSTIN, Austin, here we come again. I mean, that still just gives me goosebumps. And just to be a part of something like that brought so much fun to everyone, and such an experience, a high school experience that really most people don't get to do. It was just a thrill. I'll also brag a little bit on our team. We had some great players. Bill Marsalis and Mackey and Watson were great basketball players, but we were probably in TJ history the most overachieving team. We won games we weren't supposed to win. We actually finished with the highest scoring average in the history of Thomas Jefferson High School. We averaged over 80 points a game, and it was all because we just loved what we were doing. We had fun, and we just enjoyed being together on a basketball court. And we had great fan support. People were in the stands every game, and we just had a blast. So one of the best experiences of my life, and I appreciate all the support of everybody while we were doing it, and hope we brought some fun to everybody along the way. Back to the captain in the studio.
Well, Steve, in your athletic career, how does that compare to getting to be my partner at the golf tournament?
Oh, it's a distant second. It's a distant second, bro. You know that.
Hey, Fluff, you want to come on with the story, Fluffer? My co-host and co-founder of this silliness is the one and only Mike Fluffy Husband. You got a story for us, Fluff?
Oh, I don't. I think I don't really have anything prepared. I wasn't thinking about that. I've already sent in. You've got my video there. We'll see later.
That's right. God, you're gonna like Fluff's. Fluff's video is cool. We'll get to that later on. All right. Well, should we bring in another studio guest or roll a video? Let's go see what Dr. Robert Lamm has. The Lamm family, apparently dentistry runs deep in their family, but also it was Robert Lamm's dad that inspired Gary Crozier to become a dentist. So let's hear from Robert Lamm. Oh, and by the way, I'm supposed to be mentioning, I've got my notes over here. We've got people from all over the place. I forgot to mention that Hap makes his home in Nevada now, and I think I think it was Zacharias posted his Hap living in a hotel room. No, I think that's his place out in California. They have a place in California as well, but I think he makes his home in Nevada. And then Robert Lamm is coming to us from Oklahoma. So let's see if I can learn from my mistakes and get him on here.
Hey, Robert Lamm from Edmond, Oklahoma. I've lived the last 41 years. I want to first thank Julie Wyman and her reunion committee for all the work that they've done over the decades, and Julie's aggressiveness in locating lost classmates and getting addresses and emails. And I also want to thank Raleigh, Mike, and Steve for putting together this virtual reunion. I was really saddened last fall to hear about the tornado and damage to the Walnut Hill, TJ area. I grew up on Martha Lane, a few blocks west of TJ, and 2 houses were totally destroyed on that street. Georgianne Berry's lot where she grew up, their house that replaced their house was total, as well as the house just north of it. Fortunately, there were no deaths during that time. 50 years. I remember when a 50-year-old person I thought was old, much less 50 years since graduation from high school. Fortunately, I still have good health. I'm able to water ski, snow ski, play golf. Very few medical issues at this point. After college, I went to Baylor College of Dentistry, graduating 44 years ago this week, and joined the Air Force, and then completed a oral and maxillofacial surgery residency at the University of Oklahoma Health Sciences Center, and served 14 years of active duty in the Air Force, and then completed my reserve time. My wife and I have been married for 45 years, and we have 2 children. Our daughter lives in Longmont, Colorado with her family, 2 boys and a girl, and our son lives in Edmond with 2 daughters. And so we get to see our Edmond families very often, and always love to travel to Colorado to see our daughter and her family. I practiced oral surgery in Edmond for 29 years, retiring last summer. I've been very busy since retirement. Over the last nearly 30 years, I've gone on medical evangelism trips to Guatemala and Nicaragua, making nearly 40 trips over the years, and continue to serve on that board, as well as I'm treasurer of the American College of Dentists, the oldest honorary professional dental organization, and have been selected for vice president. Growing up in the Walnut Hill TJ area and going to school throughout my whole time in the Walnut Hill, Cary, and TJ, I have just great memories and good friends. Hearing about the tornado made me really remember a lot of those friends. And I really look forward to the time that we can see each other face to face. And I'm really looking forward to seeing the virtual reunion. Everybody stay safe.
All right. Thanks for that update, Robert Lamm. Let's see who we've got in our studio guests here. Okay, I think next up that I had promised a slot. Slater, are you there? We got Tom Slater. Tommy Slater. Oh, I got you muted. Sorry, dude.
Yeah. Hey, what's going on, Raleigh?
Hey, you promised not to tell the story about when you coerced me into making a beer run when we were all spending the night at the Royal Coach Inn after homecoming.
We weren't going to talk about that, Raleigh.
That never happened. I wasn't there, and it didn't happen.
Yeah, okay. Well, I appreciate you putting this all together. Thanks for inviting me, and it's good to see Steve and Mike. I hadn't seen Steve since the graduation, but Mike, I think I've seen a couple times.
Well, but
anyway, Raleigh asked me to try to remember a funny moment during high school and kind of bring that to the forefront, but maybe some of you know or don't know about what a definition of what is called a woodsy. And a woodsy is a gathering of friends around a bonfire out in the middle of the woods. And we all drive there. There may or may not have been liquid beverages served, but everybody would show up and we'd just stand around, no trouble, just having some liquid beverage and enjoying the fire. So on one of those occasions, I know Mike Hudspeth was there, and Happy Mather, and Gay Hart, and Larry Zacharias. I think we're all there. Craig Johnson, Jay Templeton, as I remember, we're all there. And in about the middle of the evening, we heard a siren, which I thought was a siren coming down the road. And we all panicked. We all started running because we were underage drinking, and we were on probably somebody's private property. So we all started running, and there must have been, maybe 50 of us. And we all took off in the woods, and we were going through barbed wire, and we were running under bridges, and we were running through water creeks, and we were trying to get out of that location so we wouldn't get caught. But what we realized is where we were going was the opposite direction where our cars were. So once we got to the main road, we all said, oh my gosh, now how are we getting back? So after about 20, 30 minutes of walking back to our cars, someone said, there were never any cops here. I think it was Larry Zacharias, who aspired to be a police officer and a police chief, which he did, was making the sound of a siren as he was coming down the road. Now, Larry's on here. Maybe he could verify that or not. But Mike remembers it as being Bill Edwards firing a gun off in the air, which would have scared us all too. So we all ran, we all got back, and we had a good laugh of it after that. But that was one of the funniest times I can remember. We had some good times.
Verify that.
Yeah, please do ask him.
Yeah, we will. Fluff, you want to chime in on that? Oh, sorry, I got y'all muted. Sorry, boys.
Well, yeah, I'm right there with all of that. The description's just pretty down to earth. However, where we were running that woodsy, we drove straight out Inwood Road until it ended into like some ranches, or small spread out ranches. And then we took a side road back in there, and it was there was a chicken ranch. In other words, not what you may think about, but where they grew chickens. And anyway, it was deserted. And next to it, there was a graveyard. And so we were somewhere in between. And that about a mile from there is Beltline Road and Addison. And that's where we were running. And where I hit the barbed wire was at Beltline Road, and right across the street was the high school, or the Addison School, which is turned into eventually the Addison Time Machine.
Yeah, I remember that.
And every time I've been in Addison, saw that. But years later, that whole area developed, and that graveyard is now right in the middle of multi-million-dollar homes. And I happen to have an acquaintance that has a home there, and every time I've been over there, and I don't go over there very often, they don't let me in the gate. But anyway, but when I do go over there, they've got, I just lost everything. Anyway, so anyway, when I go over there, there's a kind of a little park around that graveyard, and it's incredible. It's not anything like it used to be, Tommy, but we spent a lot of time over there.
Hey, Thompson, you're out in Kaufman County now. How's that working out for you? Happy out there?
Well, there's no traffic. We love that part. And we live in a nice gated community that's got about 4 ponds. I've got a pond behind my house. So anybody likes to fish, there are incredible fish in these ponds. And you're welcome to come visit. But we like it in Kaufman County. It's a great place to live.
Do y'all have any woods in case we need to have a party with?
Oh yeah, there's woods right behind us.
All right, so we're in on that. Yeah. All right, Slater, appreciate the story, man.
Thank you very much.
Me to get that beer, as I recall, it was cold and tasty. Sorry. For you, not me, because I was underage.
You remember that story? I don't. So
I know. You think I probably made it up? You don't know, do you?
Yeah, really.
All right, guys. Appreciate that. Let's see what we got next. Let's get back to our video board. When we were seniors, a bunch of us on the document staff, it was the greatest elective ever to be on the document staff. Crozier and I were talking about we used to just drive up to Henry at the guard shack and hold up a roll of film, and we'd go run around town and do whatever we wanted to do. It was like a license to misbehave. But one of the really fine classmates on the document staff was Catherine Duke, and she sent the nicest piece that she had written about several of the teachers, and I asked her if she would be so kind to read that. Now, this is one of those that Catherine is very soft-spoken, so you might need to jack your volume up on that, but I think this is so cool what she has to share with us about her experience at TJ, and I'm going to hold up a picture of the teacher that she's talking about while we go to Kathy Duke. Oh yeah, I got to do this. Try not to mess that up. Here we go.
This is Catherine Duke, TJ class of 70, and I'm sending some recorded memories from my home in California. My first one is Miss Martin. It was wonderful to have Miss Martin as Teacher of the Year in 1970 document yearbook. She was definitely a special teacher. And I'll never forget her telling our class that, quote, I would rather see a squashed cockroach on your essays than the word very. Although I confess that sometimes a very sneaks into my writing, to me, she was the epitome of being prim and proper in her dress and speech. Not too many years ago, I was in Dallas. I'm lucky enough to join other TJ classmates in visiting Miss Martin at her home in Highland Park. There, a woman who was clearly her long-term partner welcomed us to Miss Martin's bedside for a wonderful visit and chat. Princess Martin was bedridden. That was a poignant visit, and thanks to Nina and her sister Karen for connecting Miss Martin with some of us TJ alumni. As a side note, it was a surprise for me to have suddenly realized that the teacher I had always considered to be the epitome of propriety, following the rules, had been living a home life that was different than many of us students might have imagined. Life is full of surprises. Drill team. In my junior year, I had to decide between being on the document staff or on the drill team. They both happened at the same period. I chose drill team, and I'm glad to have had that experience, even though I was shy about dating and going out for pizza after games. I spent a chunk of my junior year learning dance routines and wearing satin hot pants and white boots while we did high kicks and contagions at the football halftime presentations, just like the Kilgore Rangerettes. Document. In my senior year, Beth Reddick and I became the document's activities editors. That was a wonderful time of camaraderie among all the document staff, partly because of the fun times of creating the 1970 yearbook, but also because of having Mr. Parrish as our yearbook teacher, advisor, guide. What a great guy he was. We document staff were all proud of the 1970 yearbook. Chris Nichols. I spent 2 years as part of the speech team when Chris Nichols was at TJ. We students competed at schools throughout the Dallas area and beyond. Such a fun time for our TJ group. My family did not watch or read much news, so I was quite surprised one day to hear Mr. Nichols remark to a few of us students about the Kent State shooting in May 1970. That was the first time I'd ever heard of such an event. His remarks made me realize how little I knew of the world outside my school and my family's church activities. French class. Miss Phillips, TJ's French teacher, must have been a singer before becoming a teacher. We students were sometimes amused, embarrassed, or both by her classroom behavior that included reliving her days of musical glory by breaking into operatic singing during class. She seemed so happy to have an audience of students, even if some of us found her singing to be slightly off-key. Sometime late in our senior year, in the French class, a young woman named Fazia joined us. She was a teenager who had arrived with her husband from Tunisia. I was thrilled to learn that someone like Fazia was now enrolled in TJ. I practiced my okay but not great French with her outside of class and was dazzled by the idea of becoming a friend with a native French speaker. Not to mention, this was the first person I knew who was a married teenager. Ozzy and I went shopping, sightseeing together one day, and later talked a bit about music. Certainly not Miss Phillips' kind of music. I loaned her my white album, the Beatles album, and she loved it so much that when she returned it to me, she had drawn something on the album jacket cover. The friendship I had with Fazia at TJ is partly what prompted me during my 20s and 30s to start traveling and sometimes living for months abroad, in Mexico City, in Aarhus, Denmark, and in Israel on the Kibbutz Hatzor. When I came to live for a summer in the International House at UC Berkeley, California, in 1973, I started on a path of being interested in people from other countries and cultures. So now, 50 years later, as I write this reflection, I note how our lives have changed in so many ways these last 50 years. Living in the Bay Area, I sometimes show children and other people my high school yearbook. In that book, there is only one color photo, and it runs across 2 pages. That's the one showing our TJ cheerleaders holding high the Confederate flag while running onto the football field with the TJ band playing Dixie, while people in the stands are singing and cheering. What an interesting reminder of our world 50 years ago. Our lives have indeed changed in those years. And I thank you, classmates, who give your heart and time to organize this 50th reunion, and to stay in touch with those of us classmates who have been living outside the great state of Texas. Those are some of my remarks, and I hope to hear and see some of yours as well. Signing off, Catherine.
All right, Kathy Duke, man, the one and only. That was absolutely awesome. I think it's time for a live studio guest. Let me go down to my, okay, the next person that I want to bring up. Now, this person moved out of state and decided that, by golly, I'm going to get on Facebook and create a page, the TJ 1970 page, the one and only Janie, don't call me Jane Alexander. Let me unmute your mic here. Let me get rid of these other guys. Janie, what is up?
Hi, live. Hey, I wanted to bring up. You want me to talk? Okay, I'll assume
absolutely.
It's my turn. Okay, I'll assume it's my turn to talk.
Yes.
You know, over the last few years, I was thinking that there are a lot of us probably that are not in Dallas, and we don't get to go to the reunion things. I'm not talking about the main reunion, but like there's a lunch or things like that. And so it dawned on me that I wanted to get to know classmates today. You know, like TJ was so large. I think our class was what, 500 and something. And I was an art student. I loved the art. So I didn't hang out with people in band, and I didn't hang out with people in choir, you know, and there were a lot of people I didn't get to know. And I thought, well, why not have a group where we can get to know each other now, 50 years later. So that's what I've done. It's on Facebook, and it's a TJ class of 1970 and friends. So if you have not joined it, look for it. Just type in TJ 1970. It'll also say Dallas, Texas. And what we're doing is that I bring up discussion questions. You know, tell me about this. What do you think about that? So we get to know each other. And I think it's been pretty successful. And by the way, I want Gary Crozier to know that I have a Harper, Texas t-shirt that I just wore about 4 days ago because I used to live in Fredericksburg. And Robert Lamm, you said you had a daughter in Longmont. Well, I live in Estes Park, Colorado now. So I'm very familiar with Longmont. So I thought, small world. So what I want to do in the vein of getting to know each other 50 years later, about 5 things real quick. I want you to know, let me see if I can turn this camera. I got this at Land Trips, probably 1969 or 1970, and I still have it. I keep my safety pins in it, and I just loved it. Land Trips. So I wanted you to know that. And then I want you to know a little bit about me in the name of getting to know each other 50 years later. I became what's called a thyroid patient activist because I'm hypothyroid. And I'm sorry to say the medical profession does not get it. They put us on Synthroid, which doesn't work for many of us. They go by the TSH. So my profession for 18 years now has been to talk about how we're getting well, which is different when the doctors are doing. So I wrote a book. Let me see if I can get this right. Okay, this is called Stop the Thyroid Madness, which is the name of the website. And this is about patient-to-patient experiences, which I've been collecting for 18 years. It's how we got well, which is totally different than a lot of doctors are doing. And then I wrote a book about Hashimoto's. Hashimoto's is the autoimmune version of hypothyroidism. So I got that one written because some people don't have Hashis and some do. And then I was the editor. I never would have guessed in high school I would be an author of a 3rd book, which each chapter is contributed by practitioners that I thought were a little bit better than others. Some of them have kind of gone backwards, but most of them are still really good. So that's what I've been doing professionally for 18 years. Never would have thought in TJ that I would be doing this. And I want you to know that I married a cowboy. Come here. I married a cowboy from Moab, Utah. This is my 2nd better marriage. Made a mistake the first time. Let me see if I can get him in. There he is.
Hey,
That's Monty. And we've been married almost 25 years. And Monty and I met on an archaeological dig. So we bought our own ruin. Before we moved to Estes Park, Colorado, we lived in Southwest Colorado. And we bought an Anasazi ruin. These are some of the pieces from it. And we had a college excavate it 2 seasons in a row. We got to see what's called the kivas, round structures in the ground. And we got to see some of the rooms. They had room blocks. We really, really enjoyed that. And that was before we moved here. And, I hung out in Miss Cole's art class. I loved Miss Cole. She was a brilliant teacher. She would give us these cool assignments, and I loved every one. In fact, I was privileged to be the winner of the Pillow Talk. What do you call it? The thing they look in when you're watching the musical. I was the cover. I won the cover. It was turquoise, and I still do it. This is an example. I don't know if you can see this. I'm outside, but this was a bakery cafe that I painted. I'm an alcohol ink artist. And I like alcohol ink because it's so different. And finally, in the spirit of getting to know each other 50 years later, I have 3 sons. And I have a picture that is going around all over the internet. And either you've seen it or you haven't, but you probably will, because, oh my God, it's so popular. It's a before and after. These are my sons. Let me see if I can get this right. This was them in front of the state capitol. I'm guessing my oldest was probably 11, and my youngest there, that's Lee. Let's see if I can get that, was probably 5. And then we went over there, tried to find the same spot, and these are my 3 sons later, and I had to pose them in the same position. So that's me. Thank you. That's me, and we would love to get to know you. It's called the TJ Class of 1970 and Friends. We've got some 1971 classmates in there. I don't remember all of them, so come join us so we can get to know each other now.
Hey, Janie, I got to say, on your site, you did some nice marketing for this event, man. You put a ton of posts up there to remind people to tune in tonight. Really appreciate it and really enjoy getting to know you again. This has been a cool week for me.
Great.
All right. Thank you, Janie, so much. Appreciate that. Let's have another video here. We also heard from Charlie Offerman chimed in from Georgia. He lives up on Lake Lanier in North Georgia. I lived in Georgia 1 year before I moved to Dallas in the 8th grade. So I'm familiar with that area. And let's have a video and see what Charlie's got for us.
I want to listen to Terry before I quit.
Oh, I'm going to mute you. Here we go. Watch me work.
I'd like to say hi to all the fellow class of 1970. Sorry I couldn't make the 30th reunion. I think it was in Russia, living and working or something, couldn't get back. 40th reunion, I missed that one too, because I think it was in Seattle. And some meetings and stuff, couldn't get back from that. We had every intention of being here for the 50th, and of course that didn't work out. But big shout out to everybody. I retired from Chevron International after 30 years in the oil business, and living and working all over the world. So I wasn't in the United States quite as much as I had expected originally in my career, but had a great time, and then probably got talked into doing some development work for about 10 years, building a marketplace, shopping center kind of things for Kroger and Publix and Hobby Lobby and folks like that. And also was talked into becoming an adjunct professor at the University of North Georgia up in the Appalachian foothills here in North Georgia, and taught international business, economics, and operations management until I retired from that here just a while back. So it's been a very busy and fun life, and continues to be, let's say, challenging and interesting even after all these years. Certainly didn't expect to go the route that I wound up, but it's been fun. Those of you that, few of you that do know me, know that I had rather advanced prostate cancer back in when I was in Russia. Thought we got that all taken care of, and it came back I think around 2012. So we went through all sorts of radiation and zippy-zappy and all that kind of stuff. And I thought that had to take care of. And then about 4 years ago, it surfaced as advanced bone cancer and lymphatic cancer. So for the last 3 or 4 years, I've been going through chemo and blood transfusions and genetic transfusions and all manner of stuff, trying to get this thing cleared up. The good news is that my hair is growing back, and the bad news is the mustache that I had that I started the day after we all graduated from TJ is not growing back. And I guess that is Mother Nature telling me that probably never really liked it, the look in the first place. So anyway, we're hanging in there. Those of you that know my wife, Bendy, she's still running a not-for-profit called Next Generation Youth Development, which helps vulnerable kids up in the rural poverty areas of North Georgia and North Carolina. And it's a very hands-on 3D printing, computer science kind of thing, because they don't have access to that sort of stuff even in schools. It's been very challenging since the COVID-19 situation surfaced, but extremely proud of her because she and her team have developed a virtual clubhouse, which has gotten quite a bit of notice from the state of Georgia and from the folks in Washington, D.C. As an effort to create a virtual presence for these kids. Our son, Kelton, continues to work on his CFI, Certified Flight Instructor. He's been in love with airplanes since we used to fly between all the different places in Europe and back and forth across the United States to Europe. And, so he's continuing to do that, has a seaplane license, which comes in kind of handy with our place in South Florida. We've gotten rid of several of our places a few years ago. We got rid of the place in Dallas, got rid of one of the houses in Florida. We still have another one there. So we spend our time between the North Georgia mountains, north of Atlanta, and then down in Fort Myers, Florida. Depending on the weather and the situation. I was back in Dallas in January. It was very heartbreaking to see what had happened to the high school and to Cary Junior High, and very heartbreaking to see the church that we used to go to, Northway Baptist Church, just across the road from the school properties, and the severe damage. I guess if I've learned one thing, every day is another day, and persistence pays off. And I know that all that is in the process of being rebuilt. In any case, I'd like to say thank you to Julie, Raleigh, Mike, and Steve for putting this all together and trying to create something out of kind of a bad situation, disaster, as far as being able to put together a reunion. Hats off to you guys. You've always been very impressive with everything that you've done. Extremely proud of what you're trying to accomplish. To all my friends that still stay in contact with me, Julie has my email address and is free to give it out to whoever, except people doing sales. And look forward to seeing you for the 60th, and maybe we ought to consider a 55th or something, so that we get a chance to be together. Take care, guys. It's been a great class. It's been a great life for all of us that came out of TJ. It was an excellent school, whether we realized it at the time or not. Extremely proud to be part of the class of 1970 from TJ. You guys take care.
spoiler alert, Mike Hudspeth video is up next, but actually right now, Fluff has, you there, Mike?
Okay.
Mike says he has a story, so we're gonna find out what that's all about. What up, Fluff?
Oh, I had a little story I figured out. I was ready to tell. Back when we were sophomores, I was supposed to meet Sheila Marvin, who's a freshman. Supposed to meet her at a slumber party that Kyle Peters was having, another freshman. And so I'm there waiting on her, me and Tommy Slater and I think Ted Sweeney. So we cruised over there, and we all, of course, we've been drinking a little bit.
This story is making me just a little bit nervous.
I'm sorry?
The story's making me nervous. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Oh, you'll be able to get through it. You'll be able to put protection on. I think it'll work. So anyway, I'm there at the party, and then I find out that Ricky Hammett had taken Sheila Marvin over to his house, and so I was all pissed off, and I turn around and I see the most beautiful woman in the world that I could ever thought about. And next thing you know, it's a couple of years later, and I graduated, and then she was a grade behind me in 71, and which was my brother's class. So I had to wait on her to graduate, and when I graduated, I went out and got an apartment, and we got all ready for that. And so then when she graduated, she and her family came back from Dallas. They were in Florida, and we got married on September. We got married June 18th, 1971.
Nice.
And here she is, still with me. It'll be 49 years next month.
Linda, no way.
Isn't she gorgeous?
Oh, gosh.
There's our little dog. Anyway.
Hey, Fluff, that is out kicking your coverage right there, brother.
What's 1971, June 18th, 1971, there's other than our wedding date, we married in my parents' home, which is about 2 miles from Love Field Airport. We were over there on Midway Road, and while we were popping the cork, we had champagne, and I was 19 and she was 18, but that didn't matter. We getting it done. Anyway, so 2 blocks away, there was a hangar there at Love Field, and it was a deserted hangar that my brothers and I, we used to ride our bikes in and get crazy in. Well, that hangar is where Lamar Muse and Herb Kelleher were popping the cork on the birth of Southwest Airlines. So over the years, when they've had their birthday, we've had our anniversary, and I've had occasions to fly Southwest Airlines on their birthday and talk to them about it. And one time it netted me 2 free tickets to anywhere they flew. So I got home and I said, honey, we got 2 tickets going to anywhere Southwest flies. Where do you want to go? You want to go to Tulsa, El Paso? You want to go to Houston? In a couple of months, they're going to go to New Orleans. So we flew to Houston, and drove down to Galveston. But anyway, so next week, it'll be 49 years, and we went together in high school for 3. So it's 52 years that we've been together, and she's still hanging on to me.
Mike, how many Woman of the Year awards has she received from being married to your ass all this time?
So many, we've got tired of it, of going to the anniversary or going to the meetings, accepting them. Yeah, we don't go there.
Terry Mashburn, I see you down there. You're coming up pretty soon, all right? So hang with me just for a second. I love that story, Mike. Linda is a lovely lady, and she must be a saint of some sort. Don't take it personal.
I've done everything I could to run her off, and so she is a saint.
I snorted. All right. Hey, I kept hoping that Crozier would find his way back to me. I've texted him, and I'm trying to find him. But I got to get this story if he doesn't show up. So this is called Death the Teacher. So when we were seniors, we had the big rivalry with W.T. White with the football and all that. And so the police were kind of watching both schools because they didn't want any.
On camera.
Uh-oh, I got to mute somebody. Hang on. So we're kind of careful about going over to W.T. White. So Crozier came to us with this great idea. We're playing Hillcrest 2 weeks later in our homecoming game. And he goes, you know what? We could go over there and pretend like we're playing a football game in their front yard and take a bunch of ryegrass seed and plant a big TJ in their front yard. So sure enough, we did, man. We loaded up a couple of cars and we went over there one evening and pretended like we're playing football. We'd get in the huddle and take that grass and spread it around. And sure enough, a couple of weeks later, a big giant green TJ pops up in their dead front yard on Hillcrest High School. And the teacher that he got this idea from was the one and only Betty McLean, our English teacher. And I'm not sure what's up with that, but the rest of the story is even better because Crozier had a patient that went to Hillcrest and told him that they went out there and got some ryegrass and planted the word sucks underneath it. And they've got a picture in their annual, apparently, that says their front yard says TJ sucks. So just good, clean fun. That's kind of stuff we did back then. It's all good, clean fun. Hey, the next person I want to bring up, I want to show my document here. Right here, people. The choir. Terry Mashburn's going to come on and have a couple of comments about the Thomas Jefferson choir. Terry, where are you, girlfriend?
Hi, guys. This is Terry Mashburn, and I am talking to you from Corpus Christi, Texas. And I'm going to share my experiences with the concert choir. First of all, concert choir was made up of sophomore, junior, senior guys, and junior and senior girls. And everybody had to try out to be able to get into the choir and be able to sing. We always had a whole lot of fun, and especially during the musicals. We did Music Man my senior year, or all of our senior year, and we had a whole lot of fun. It was really hysterical trying to learn songs like cheep, 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 wada, 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 ting, tang. Anyway, we had to do that 3 times in a row without laughing and be able to sing it. And we also got to wear period costumes. That was really lots of fun. After the last performance, we would always have a cast party. And I would love to tell you a whole lot of stories, but I might get in trouble with some of my classmates that were there that could never behave themselves. You probably know who I'm talking about. Anyway, during lunch of our senior year, we would go to choir and then have our lunch period, or we'd take off campus on our lunch period and go to Tupinambas and eat lunch. And unfortunately, we wouldn't get back in time for our period after lunch, and we'd get in a lot of trouble. My class was my chemistry class, which I hated, and we would never seem to get back, at least not for the first 10 minutes. So needless to say, we'd get in lots of trouble then. Then in December '69, we had the concert choir's Christmas party over at the Sherlock Apartments over off the Northwest Highway. Several of us girls decided to make wassail, and we put it in this great big coffee maker, and it was full of cinnamon and all sorts of spices. And then here comes the boys, and they decided to add Everclear to it. Needless to say, everybody was feeling better at that point. And unfortunately, I don't remember a whole lot more about that party because of what the boys had done. And of course, I had to participate. We all sang Christmas songs and danced to the songs that the DJ was playing and had a really, really great time. The final little part of that evening ended in pouring my little brother Jack Mashburn onto the front yard because he couldn't stand up enough for me to get him in the house. And then our dad found him at 6 a.m. the next morning on the front yard. And needless to say, he was very happy about finding Jack there. Then in 2003, we decided to have a choir reunion. And Mr. Cannon led us and brought several songs for us to all get up and sing. And we had a wonderful party at Northwest Bible Church. And then a bunch of us decided that we would raid Rusty's house and have an after party at Rusty's. Well, we had a few to drink over there and had Mr. Julian Pierce of class 71 playing the piano. And we sang and danced and drank until 4 a.m. in the morning. It was awesome. Also, many years later, we found out that Mr. Cannon was critically ill. And we all got together and decided to make a CD for him. We went to the Lovers Lane Methodist Church and used their concert choir loft, which is acoustically awesome. And we recorded a CD with several of the songs that we had done with him, some of his favorite songs, and of course, You Never Walk Alone, which always brings a tear to my eye. I hope it doesn't tonight. Anyway, what's so wonderful about concert choir is we all made friendships that have lasted till this day. I still keep in touch with, I call my brothers. They were all in class 71 and friends of Jack. And he passed in 1985. He was a excellent professional musician and ended up taking his own life. And since that time, all of his brothers and mine have kept me going and lifted my spirits and really been a part of my life. A lot of them still go to lunch once a month in Dallas, but unfortunately I can't go now because I live in Corpus Christi. So I hope y'all enjoy this video and our time together online, and hopefully we can all see each other next year in Dallas. Goodbye.
Terry, so thank you so much for coming on. That was awesome. Hello. Yeah, sorry, I was going to try to chat with you, but we got a little feedback situation working there. Hey, this is a lot like school, people. So everybody is going to get a grade. If you came on live, you get an A+. If you sent in a video, you get an A. If you tuned in to watch, you get a B+. And if you tune in and you're watching the recording, you get a B-. And then if you watch it a week later, you get a C, and so on and so on. But what we're going to do is, this is like school. Everybody has to participate. So we're going to be on every Saturday at 7 o'clock until we hear from everybody in the class. Of course, that's not true, but what the heck. Let's see, where are we at? We're going to have a video from Fluff here in a second. Let's go ahead and roll Fluff's video. Mike had a really interesting take on what he wanted to say, and his video is pretty super. So let's go ahead and roll that, and I'll be back here in a second.
Howdy, y'all. I got a little something I'd like to show y'all. It's something that while I was attending Thomas Jefferson when I was there, I had three men that I'm not going to say guided me, but that I really respected, and I think of them from time to time, and I'd like to bring them to you. I'm sure you'll recognize them. Back the summer between our freshman and sophomore year, Tommy Slater and I, we were working at Skiller's drugstore there on Lemon Avenue in Inwood, and it was a Sunday night, the summer, and we got off work and we're cruising along. We're cruising down Walnut Hill, and we pulled up to Orange Julius, and John Bellinger was there in his car, and a fella pulled up that Slater knew, and he thought he had a hot little Chevrolet Biscayne, 1956, I think. So he wanted to drag race my little Mustang, 1967, brand new, little 289 Mustang. So, okay, good. So we used to drag race down over there off of Brockbank. So there was a new development going in. So there was empty streets, and the streets were poor and the alleys were poor and ready to go. So that's where we headed down, and Tommy started us off, and John Dillinger was down at the end of the race. Again, it's dark at night and there were no street lights. And just off of Brockbank was the end of the race, and he was down there with his headlights on. So boom, I'm winning the race, and I see the headlights, and I look up, and all of a sudden there's the Brockbank Apartments, and I slammed on the brakes, the car slid around, and the net result was I broke my arm almost off. It didn't come unattached, but it was hanging, and I went to park when they were going to amputate. My mother got us over to Baylor, and Dr. Vandermeer reattached my arm. I was in surgery. I forget all that. And then here's the arm, what's left of it today. I had a long, fruitful life with it. It hadn't bothered me at all. But when first day of school and we went into our classes, I went into gym class, and I kept the arm wrapped up in an ace bandage when we got to school. And so I went in to see Mickey Poteet, and I said, Mr. Poteet, or Coach Poteet, I said, my injury is such, and I showed it to him. I said that, I really can't really play and do anything, but, I can run and everything, but I don't think I ought to participate, but I want to stay in gym class. Can I help you run the class? Can I help you, like maybe pass out towels or something? He said, He said, come with me. And he, by that time, everybody changed into their gym clothes, and he brought me out there, and he told everybody to shut up. And he said, this is, y'all know Mike Hutchwick, most of them did, and they said, he goes, he's going to check y'all in, and he's going to get y'all started playing, and I'll be in my office, and if there's any problems, which I don't think there will be, then I'll be right in the office, and we'll go from there. So he handed me the whistle and the clipboard, and he said, check them in, I'll see you later. So he went in his office, and there I went. I started checking people in, and then I got the games organized, and then we got everything going. Everybody was playing their different games, smear ball, baseball, whatever. And so that's what I started from that day, our sophomore year, and it went all through our senior year. And I never saw Mr. Poteet. I never saw him. I'd go in the office occasionally when I get everything going, and he wasn't there. And I knew he went down to the teacher's lounge. I think he maybe told me one time. But anyway, here he is. Y'all probably remember him, Mickey Poteet. And you'll see there, he said, best wishes to my right-hand man. And that's out of our senior yearbook. So here's, as we go through from time to time, Slater and I'd be cruising up and down Forest Lane, and my little Mustang, I had a compartment in the front between the grill and the radiator. And when it was cold, we put our beer in there. And you drive around all night, and that would keep the beer ice cold. Well, sure enough, one evening, we're cruising up and down, and Officer Whitman slides by, U-turns, and pulls me over. And he said, I said, "Do you see your ID, please?" And so I showed him my driver's license. And he said, "Are you Dick Huster's boy?" I said, "Yeah, yes, sir, I am." And my father was service manager at Kenray Ford for years. And he said, "So here's what we're going to do. He said, y'all are going to pour that beer out right here in front of me. I'm going to sit in my car because it's cold out here. And pour all that beer out, and then you tell your daddy you talked to me. And so I said, okay. And I told my daddy, hey, I talked to Officer Whitman last night. He said, tell you hi. And but I didn't know, but he had coffee with my daddy on Wednesday mornings there at the dealership. And I didn't know that till a little while later. So if I'd have known it, I probably would have been nervous Wednesday night when I got in. But we went years and years and had several encounters with Officer Whitman, Smiley, and what a great guy he was. And I was it was so saddened to hear that in 1981 he had a brain tumor and passed away. He was 52 years old. But somebody was telling me about that it was he had severe headaches. They were worse than headaches. And so anyway, Officer Smiley Whitman, Smiley. So the next old boy I'm going to tell you about, you guys, anybody that drove a car had to deal with him. He managed the parking lot. And when I'd cut out for lunch, and I'd go and get lunch, and then I'd come back, and every time I came back, if I came back, I would bring Henry a sandwich or a hamburger. And Henry never said much, but I always admired that he sat out there and he put up with our bullshit, and he put up with the rain and the cold and the sleet and everything. And I asked him one time, why do you do this? And he said, oh, it's just something I do. That's about all I ever heard him say. I never heard him, he might have mumbled thank you, but I really admired this guy. I don't know why, but here he is. Y'all remember, that's Henry Stovall. I just found out his name the other day, Henry Stovall. I searched for his obituary and everything, and there's not much said in his obituary, so he's no longer with us. So all three of these gentlemen are no longer with us, and they joined the ranks of the rebels that have gone on. So anyway, that's my video.
Okay, I got to tell you, I'm supposed to be the journalist in our golfing group, but Fluff digging deep for the human interest story. I love that video, man. That is so freaking awesome. Two things I want to chime in on. Number one, we're seniors in high school. I think it was when we were seniors. But one day we get to school and Henry's shack is blown to smithereens. And so here's cousins walking around going, well, who do you think blew up Henry's shack? I'm like, well, damn, cousins, we think you did. So I'm not saying that is fact. I'm just saying that's the way I heard it. So many people are saying, as it were. All right. So the other thing I want to say, Mickey Poteet, when my brother-in-law, the one and only Pat Brown, was coaching the Coppell Cowboys, and they made it to the state tournament in the early 80s, and we'd go over to Lowe's Fieldhouse to watch the games. And that's the last time I ran into Mickey Poteet. And he pretended like he remembered me. But the best thing about Mr. Poteet for me was when Fluff was actually teaching our class. I learned so much from Mike in those days. He was my bodyguard. But Mr. Poteet called everybody by their last name, Hudspeth, Dumaney. But he called me by my first name, except he called me Riley. You're Riley. Mickey Poteet, man. He's got good handwriting. When he signed our annual, it looked really, really good. All right, I got my good buddy in the studio. Hey, I got to give a shout out. I saw Russ Weaver popped in on the comments over here. Russ Weaver, dude, you worked at the Studio Club. I need to know all about that. And so here's the deal about the election for Whittier. So I had some people in my camp. They thought I was funny back then, and I thought I was going to win Whittier, and I had Phil Torian hot on my ass in the voting. So inappropriately, we're all sitting in the document room, and they're writing them up on the board with chalk, not a dry erase marker. on the votes and all that shit. It was pretty close at the end. I think we were win place and show. We had the original RW, Rusty Weaver, and then RW1, me, and then Phil Torian. And I'm sorry, my next guest coming up, RW2. You weren't very funny back then, but you did get in poppycocks because you were good with numbers. Anybody guess who we got? My buddy Rick Wyman, RW2. What up?
Hey, Raleigh, how you doing?
I'm living the dream, man. What you doing?
Great show. Great show.
Hey, well, let me come back with you, buddy. So what you got for us? You want to have a little bit of a story first?
Let's tell a quick story, and then we've got a tribute we'd like to do here towards the end of the show.
Yeah.
Everybody's been sharing tonight, lots of fond memories of our high school days, especially those our senior year. However, one I remember represents, not only some foolishness, as has been shared, but a spirit of solidarity that made our class very special. Although the senior boys breakfast was a great event, required a lot of planning, and thanks to those guys that did all that 50 years ago, the story I want to tell did not involve alcohol and was done at the spur of the moment. For those that remember the Key Club, it was comprised of guys ranging from your jocks to scholastic achievers and to dudes who didn't have anything else to do and wanted to have at least one organization to put on their senior bio in the document. So, one of the Key Club's service activities was to sweep the TJ parking lot on a Saturday morning several times during the year. Well, one Saturday morning I remember, and I admit the details are a little fuzzy, but someone suggested that we hotwire the school bus. It was innocently parked there in the parking lot. And as you can imagine, given the ambition represented by this outstanding group of young men, the idea quickly turned into action. I don't remember who assisted the leader of this endeavor, who is arguably the best athlete in our class. And Zach, please text or comment if you want to take some credit here. But John Berry was our honors student, was all over this. I have some vague ideas of who else was involved, but I don't want to incriminate anyone. So once we got the bus started, John jumped behind the wheel, and at least 20 of us brave souls hopped on. The decision was quickly made to take a joyride to the Jack in the Box in Marsh Lane Plaza up at Walnut Hill and in Marsh Lane, and buy food for everyone, both on the bus and back in the parking lot. And of course, we didn't think about the money aspect of this adventure, but that didn't really matter. We just buy as much food as we could afford. And, we were really feeling really good about ourselves. This was really cool. But, as we were driving down Walnut Hill Lane for all the world to see this school bus going down on a Saturday morning with a bunch of kids in it, the thought occurred to some of us that we were doing something that was actually illegal. What if a cop saw us? Lord help us if John had an accident. I mean, he didn't exactly drive a school bus for a living, So, some of us were starting to get a little worried. And to make it even worse, I looked across the aisle of the school bus and saw John Holmes sitting there. And, we're making our way to the Jack in the Box and we're pulling in there. And even John Holmes started looking worried. Now here's one of our all-star pranksters in our class. And when I saw this worried look on his face, questioning this endeavor, I started wondering, what the hell were we doing? Well, to make a long story short, after loading up the bus with as much food as we could afford, we made it back to the TJ parking lot, safe and sound, no harm, no foul. I don't know if there's any ramifications. I honestly don't remember coming out of that. But I can tell you that John Berry, in his defense, overcame that brain fart moment to go on to not only become a track star at the University of Texas, but he won the Southwest Conference long jump, setting a conference record that lasted for 10 years until the great Carl Lewis broke it in 1984. So Raleigh, I'm starting to sound like Rory Best, so our class historian. So why don't we move on?
Hey, that's my favorite thing about JB. We were talking about that last time I ran into him. The Carl Lewis. How many people can sit there at a cocktail party and say, "Yeah, Carl Lewis broke my dadgum record at the Southwest Conference"? Okay, I feel like a live reporter on the scene right now because this just in. I get a text from the win, place, and show. You know, I thought the funniest thing I ever said was when people said they had the senior superlatives. I said, well, shit, I was the senior comparative. I was the second wittiest to RW original. Okay, so this just in from
not RW2.
Correct. So this is just in from Phil Torian, who came in third, way behind me. And that funny thing. Okay, Bill Edwards lit the fuse for Cousins. Fred, this will be Harvard. Fred and I drove by and saw the smoking remains of Henry's shack 20 minutes later, peeled open like a burnt banana. He might have just jumped me. That's pretty funny right there. I think he just moved into second place with some of that bullshit right there. Hey, Rick, man, I got to tell you, it's been a pleasure working with you this week, man. I think we somewhat pulled it off. Seems like a lot of people are watching, man.
This is great, Raleigh. And thanks.
It'll tide us over. Like I said, we're doing this every Saturday, 7 o'clock. Y'all just email me all the time, man.
Well, thanks to you, Mike and Steve, for putting this reunion show together. It's had a few wheels off moments.
What?
It's been great seeing and hearing some of our classmates, hearing the stories. So bless you, brothers, for doing this.
I consider it my greatest electronic achievement to get through a session with Slater and Husband.
You should be proud, Raleigh.
I am, man. I'll put that on my resume. Hey, Rick, let's get serious, buddy. Take us on.
So turning to a more serious point, as most of you know, we have a TJ Class of 1970 Memorial Fund. It is independent of the scholarship fund that's been mentioned tonight. Julie collects these donations and uses them to memorialize our deceased classmates with either floral tributes at their service or honorariums to our class scholarship fund. So we appreciate the notes from all of you, letting us know when one of our classmates has passed on. If you want to have more information, there's additional information available in the donation section on our class website. Raleigh's going to show it later, but it's tjrebs1970.myevent.com. And to honor these classmates tonight, Raleigh and Julie have put together a very heartfelt tribute. As I watched this video, it reminded me of a wonderful quote from J.M. Barrie. This is the dude that invented Peter Pan, for those that are not prestigious English people. The quote was, "God gave us memory so we may have roses in December." I look forward to seeing all of you at our real 50th reunion next June. So if you're drinking water, wine, booze, or whatever, here's a toast to our fallen rebels from the class of 1970. God bless you.
Thanks, Rick. See you soon, buddy.
You bet.
See you.
When you walk through a storm, hold your head up high. And don't be afraid of the dark. At the end of a storm, there's a golden sky and the sweet silver song of a lark. Walk on through the wind, walk on through the rain, though your dreams be tossed and walk, walk on with hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone. You'll never walk alone. When you walk through a storm, hold your head high and don't be afraid of the dark. At the end of the storm, there's a golden sky and the sweet silver song of love. Walk on through the wind, walk on through the rain, though your dreams be tossed and blown. Walk on with hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone. You'll You'll never walk alone.
I've seen that so many times. I've already been through the whole scene with that. Hey, I hope you, this is really self-indulgent after something like that, but I want to kind of wrap this up if you don't mind. This has been pretty fun. I can't believe it. I guess I'm going to go have a beer and watch this and see how weird it really is. Hey, I had a few notes over here that I'm looking at, and I hate to miss out on some of these jokes that I bothered writing. So one of the things I was going to say was that the whole Happy Mather and Gary Crozier administration was very dodgy. They had a treasurer that was some Lebanese national, Jeff Dumaney, and then the secretary was off to Venezuela shortly after graduation. And something about that just doesn't sit right with me. And then the other thing that I thought was somewhat funny was I was reading my document, and my favorite things were when Brad Newton, my photographer partner in crime, he signs my annual and all the usual crap, and then at the end, only he could write this, and only I could read it properly, which was whoop, 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 because we were both Three Stooges fans. And then Mary Nan had the line of the yearbook, and she wrote upside down. I had to turn it over, and it said, "Raleigh, you are so quick on your feet, maybe because that's where your brains are." And my answer is, you were low by about half. So that's inappropriate. And oh yeah, Fluff says, mention that they're all on the website. Who's on the website? Oh, I'm going to get to that. So if you would indulge me one quick last time, I want to tell a quick story about family, friends, and golf. So everybody had big families back in those days. I had my brother Ken, class of 68, and me, and then Karen Joe in 73. By the way, Rusty Weaver, she actually took home the family wittiest. She followed John Leake around and laughed at his jokes all the time, and she won wittiest in 73. And then Rich in 82. So a lot of y'all might have heard us talk about the golf tournament, the Hill Country Classic. I'm currently the holder of the golden shoe. They have inexplicably given me the right shoe, but I'm proud of it. I got to team with Rory Best. Y'all might know him best as Mr. Gretchen Moran for that victory. But the golf thing, let's talk about reunions, friends, and family. So at the 20th reunion, Crozier, who had moved down to Kerrville, said, "You guys ought to come down and play golf with us." And then we kept thinking we should do that. So my sister Karen, that I was just talking about, is a flight attendant on American Airlines flight, and she sees the ever handsome Steve Moffat sitting up there in 3C or whatever seat he was in first class. And so she's telling me she had a crush on him, and his associate in the seat next to him was kind of digging this because she's pretty cute. So anyway, she gets Steve's card. We go have lunch. I say, "Man, we should all go down and play golf with Crozier." So in 1998, I hope I'm telling that right, we all go down to Kerrville. Well, 8 of us went down to Kerrville. It was Wyman, Domain, a bunch of us, and start up the Hill Country Classic. So we've been playing this golf tournament for 22 years. We do it every year, and we've switched venues around and done some cool stuff with that. But my point is that it's kind of cool that a bunch of us guys from TJ can stick together. And man, we got each other's backs on important stuff when it rolls around. So trying to make this story as concise as possible. My brother Rich and his buddies from 82 also have a golf tournament. So we thought we should get together and have like a Rebel Cup. And so then Ken got in on it, and Karen started telling her people about it. And we started up this golf tournament in 2005. And a bunch of people came out, and we thought, well, what the hell? Let's get 10 extra bucks and give it to the TJ Athletic Department. So when we check into that, we find out that there's this alumni association that's some geezers older than us from the earlier classes with the lovely, beautiful human being, Martha Wilson. And so we kind of got together with them. And just like Steve was talking about earlier, just tens of thousands of dollars have come in. There's some pretty wealthy people connected with TJ, and they've been very, very generous, and we're just so thankful for that. So the purpose of my story is just, hey, man, keep your friends, keep your family, play some golf, and have an idea here and there, and you never know what the heck might come of it. So that being said, one more self-indulgent moment. So when we have our golf tournament, Murdoch's got nothing on me. I invented fake news, and I am our journalist. And here's a little film from our tournament.
We won't be here forever, but here we are right now. The clubbing men of Jefferson to make the solemn vow. To make the solemn vow. To gather in September, the classic hills to roam. To battle for the golden shoes and stay under the dome. Stay under the dome. Say with this with voices proud in outfits red and blue. I love to golf, it's my honor to play the game with you. To play the game with you. So lift your silver chalice to friends from decades yore. Let's play the country classics till the last to golf and friends. 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 We'll all be 6 under, won't we?
That's right. I'm the chief of all of y'all. You don't like the way I golf? Come over, I'll put your panty waist on the ground.
I say copper, you say dome. Copper, dome. Copper, dome. I say Jeff do, you say Maney. Jeff do.
Maney. Bueller. Burley.
So, Domaney,
Yes.
enough about you. What's your favorite thing about being friends with me?
Your hair.
Really? you can touch it if you want to. You can touch it if you. Gary, would you please speak on Domaney's behalf? What's the best thing about being friends with Domaney?
His hair.
What we got is each one of you gets a flag, so stack them up over here. And there's a special going today. You can get the flag signed by your esteemed $5.
I have 4 things I'd like to say to all of you.
Dang it, I was supposed to cut that off in time. All right, there's been no clamoring whatsoever, but we're going to have the, what you call it, the alma mater anyway, here from my fake studio. Hear our proud voices, sing our praises true, sing of our firm devotion to our school. Beside us stands God to guide us in the right. Thomas Jefferson, the red and blue, evermore to reign. You know, I said Thomas Jefferson, the red and blue, evermore to reign. I've had 2 beers. Wow. Dang. Okay, I got one more thing, if I can get it to pop up. Oh, wow. Let's see. Can you still hear me? We can never know about the days to come, but we think about them anyway. You didn't think I'd go away that easy now, did you? And I wonder if I'm really with you now, or just thinking about some finer day. Anticipation, you know it's making me wait. You know it's keeping me waiting. Can I tell you how easy it is to be with you virtually? And how right your virtual arms feel around me, yeah. And I rehearsed those words just late last night when I was thinking about how right tonight might be. Anticipation, you know it's making me wait. It's keeping me waiting. Tomorrow we're gonna be together. I'm no prophet, you know I don't know nature's way. So I will look into your eyes right now, and I'll stay right here as these are the good old days. Everybody, these are, I don't know if you're doing the good old days. Just stay right here. Why? Because these are the good old days. All right, see you next summer. Oh, and as they said in the annual, raise hell and stay cool. From the ATX. All right, all right, all right.